Hey y'all.
Hey y'all.
Welcome to the
November Rewind. I'm so excited.
All right, let's get into it.
So first, this time, let's not forget, we are sipping on a little something right here.
Cheers.
So what are we sipping on? You want to tell them?
We are sipping on Josh Prosecco.
Yes, we are, and mine has a little razzle dazzle.
She put a little something special in hers.
Put a little shot of mango pineapple Svedka in mine.
Right, so you're drinking Prosecco and vodka.
Yes.
And I'm drinking just plain Prosecco with a little
we have
white
a little grape in here
to enhance it. So, yeah.
So let's jump into it.
All right, let's start.
What's happening for you in November? Like, what's something you want to talk about?
Well, the one thing that you can't seem to get away from right now because it's going forever and a day is the election.
Oh my gosh.
So all of this election chaos, right? So this is what what is this time for you? Maybe your third time voting?
Presidential election?
Presidential?
My second.
Just your second?
Because Obama was in there for 8 years and then Trump for 4.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is just your second time. And so what do you think about, how this has been going?
I feel like this is my first time really, really paying attention to it as an adult. Because before, I was excited the first time to vote, but then it was just okay, I'll vote, and then I'll find out the results later. It wasn't really a thing.
Right.
Versus this time, I was sitting up watching the entire thing, the day of, and I voted early.
Right.
So I went in person, but I voted early. So yeah, it was just a lot different to really sit up and watch as the states come in and all of that. Because even when Obama won, I was in college, and I watched for a little bit, but it was kind of, I don't know, we didn't really watch a whole lot. And then in the middle of the night, I was almost asleep. Yeah. Everybody at my college, whenever it was announced that he was the winner, everybody came running outside and I was like, oh wait, okay, something happened, he won. But this time I really sat there. My boyfriend was visiting, and we sat and we had the news on all day.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
I mean, I voted in multiple presidential elections now, but this is the first one that I recall being as chaotic as this one is. There seems like well, not all the time, but there are fireworks sometimes associated with the elections, but this time it was just unreal, as far as what's going on, as far as the allegations about voter fraud and the voter suppression and all of those kinds of things that have been brought to light. And I really believe that that's part of the reason that there was such a big turnout for this election as opposed to some of the others, because people were much more aware of those things. I mean, voter suppression has been around forever. That's been a thing for a while now. The allegations about voter fraud, there's always somebody who feels like they've been disenfranchised as far as, voting goes or whatever. But it was just magnified in this particular race. And I remember the last time when President Trump was elected, at some point during the night, it became apparent that he was going to be the winner. And so I went to bed, and then I woke up the next morning and it was confirmed that he had gotten the requisite number of, electoral college votes, and that he was going to be the one that was going to serve as the next president. And so it's okay, well, whether it was your person or not, it was okay, accept that and move on, and see what we're going to do with that. But this time, like you said, I mean, I had the TV on all night, going back from the regular news to the CNN channels and Fox News and everybody trying to see what was being said. And
I mean, the thing for me that I didn't realize, and I think that it hasn't necessarily been this way for other elections, I mean, maybe it has, but it hasn't been as contested, was that how long it lasted. It was election week, I mean, even now, it's almost like election month, because it still continued to have all this fallout
Right.
from it. But yeah, I mean, that's what me and my boyfriend were saying. We just like, we watched it that night and we are like, okay, well, I guess we can go to sleep because
It's
can't declare a winner yet. And then we watched the next day and we're like, dang. I woke up the next morning, I was like, oh my gosh, who's the president? And still nobody was declared. So,
and I think, like, one of the blessings in the pandemic, which is another thing we can talk about in a minute, is that a lot of people are either out of work or they're working from home and things like that. So I think if not for that, I think there would have been a lot more chaos because I think workplaces would have been really fiery. I think, that people would have been interacting more. And I think the chaos would have been magnified even more.
For sure.
We've had Black Lives Matter and we've had the Stop the Steal, folks that have been protesting and stuff like that. But I think there would have been a lot bigger clash as a result of it.
For sure.
And I will say, as much as I thought I understood the Electoral College, this really did help me understand that process more because of how it's been heightened and brought to the forefront about how that process works. Like, I always knew that, there were electors for each state and that they, voted the will of the people of that state depending upon, how their voters, submitted their votes or whatever the case may be. But I didn't realize, like, there's this certification that goes on and audits that can happen, in states or recounts even. And, that the period is so long that they're not certified until I think December the 10th or 14th or something like that is when the Electoral College officially certifies, the winner of the election. So it did kind of, and I did a little more research on my own also to try to, have an understanding of what was going on. So I do think that, if there's a positive to come out of it, maybe some of that, people are a lot more aware of the voting and election processes and, standing firm on having their voices heard. So I think that was a good thing. Yeah. So speaking of, the pandemic and how it impacted things, isn't this crazy what's going on now with this pandemic?
I mean, they told us.
They did.
They told us that this was going to happen, but it is crazy. I mean, in North Carolina, our numbers from October until now have it's been a steady rise. I mean, we've almost every week it's like, new record, new record, new record, new record. So, and we talked about this in the last video. So yeah, it's continued to rise and it's crazy.
It is. I mean, all over the country, what's going on with this? And you're right. I mean, they predicted it. The science professionals and medical professionals told us that this is exactly what was, going to happen in the fall. And the problem
now is that people are just kind of over it. So I feel like, what's crazy is that before, and I get that it was unknown before. We didn't know a whole lot about it. But before we shut down and we were nowhere near where we are now. So it's amazing to me that people aren't ready to just like shut everything back down again.
Yeah.
This is
well,
crazy.
I think that there's a couple of different mentalities out there. There's that group of people that believe in the herd immunity. And so they're just like, I'm over it. Let's just everybody get it and be immune and let's just move on.
Sacrifice yourself.
Right. And the problem is, it's not as simple as that. People are going to die. People are going to lose their lives. And so it's not as, you can't be as callous as to say, because I remember early on at one point, I myself even thought that, like, what? Maybe we just need to, if I just get it and then I'll have the antibodies and then I don't have to worry I don't have to be so fearful about catching it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, the fear about catching it, it's held us all hostage to some degree. But yeah, they have, it's a real thing, this COVID fatigue, people are tired of being in their homes, and now we're coming into the season, winter, where people are normally in their homes because, if you live up north, you're dealing with snow and ice and, in the Midwest, you're dealing with that kind of thing. Even in the South, it's cold. So we don't have snow and ice so much, but it's cold. And so you find yourself in your home more frequently. I know that depression goes up, suicides go up, all those things go up in the winter. It's kind of gray, it's cloudy.
Well, and the winter is when all the big holidays are.
Right.
So you have Halloween, you have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, you have New Year's. all of those are like those are the big holidays, you know, where
Right.
you do things together. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, outside of like 4th of July, maybe.
Yeah.
The rest of these are all things that you do in big groups. You
Right.
get all the family together for Thanksgiving. You get all the kids together for Christmas. You all go out and party for New Year's. So
Yeah.
it's making it even harder for people to say no to things because it's like, but this is what we do.
Well, and not only that, but I guess my point is that because they've been locked down already for 6 months,
Right.
Normally it wouldn't be as big of a deal because you expect, okay, well, the winter comes, I'm going to be in the house more. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to spend time with family or doing whatever you do inside gatherings or whatever the case may be. But that's because you spent all summer at the beach,
Right.
and in the spring you were traveling and doing those things or whatever. But people haven't been able to do that since about March, and so there's truly this sense that we've been locked down now for almost a year.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, this year has flown by too because I'm like, I remember, it's just crazy how this is all blown up because I remember when everything first happened in March and kind of hearing about it and being like, okay, whatever.
Right.
They've been
Because
trying to
again,
freak
like you
us
said,
out.
we didn't understand it.
Right. And then I remember like being at work and them sending us home from work. And I was like really big into like working out and all that sort of stuff at the beginning of the year. Like I was on my thing. I was doing good. I was like 3 months in. And they sent me home. I was like, okay, I'll go to the gym early or whatever. Came home. They were like, yeah, you're not going to come in for the rest of the week. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take the rest of the week off. I'm going to eat how I want to eat. I ain't going to go to the gym, because this is only going to last.
Right.
I'll be back in the office next week. And then 3 months later, it's like, crap. And then 6 months later, it's like, wow, we're still dealing with this. So
Right, exactly.
It's crazy.
This has been, it's been traumatic to say the least. It's just been so different from what we as Americans, at least in the United States, are used to. Other countries are used to, I think, more so being told by their government, kind of when they can come and go and how they can come and go and those kinds of things. But in the U.S., baby, come and go as we please. You're not going to tell me I can't leave my house. What? I can't leave my house. I can't eat out.
Although it's been kind of good, right? I mean, I won't say it's been good. A lot of people have a lot of different experiences with this.
Right.
A lot of people are experiencing it a lot of different ways. So for some people, this has been, just a complete nightmare. And I don't want to take that away. But I know for me, I've tried to find the silver lining in it. People are like, oh, let's just end 2020, let's jump to 2021. I'm like, okay, well, it's just going to transfer over to 2021.
Right.
So let's figure out what we can enjoy about 2020.
Right.
And so for me, one of the positives has been that I've had the flexibility to like spend more time with family and friends, which was a big deal for me because I live far away from everybody. So I've enjoyed that. The other positive has been that I saved money on some things, so I'm not driving back and forth to work, so I don't have to worry about gas.
Right.
I have flexibility with my work so that I can do my work and then do whatever else I want to do, all that sort of stuff. So that leads me to my next point, which you already know what's coming.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. That's what my granddaughter says. Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh. You already know what's coming. Ivy Park. There have been 2 Ivy Park drips, and I talked about this last month. There was an Ivy Park drip in October, but, guys, there was another one in November. And this time, I was able to secure the bag.
Sis did get a few things and got me caught up in it. And it had me.
Yeah, because I needed multiple computers.
We were on phone, laptop, iPad, both of us, multiple, trying to log into accounts.
But we were trying to get stuff from my sister, too, because she was trying to get stuff. So I'm like, okay, between the 3 of us, we each have at least 2 devices.
Right.
Hopefully we can get some stuff. So, yeah, this time, I think it went a lot smoother because people balled out on the last one. The people that were able to, I think they balled out on the last one. I wasn't able to. And I got all this money saved up. So I'm like, I'm getting everything I want.
And for me, of course, I love Adidas. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm just not like, I don't know what to say, like overwhelmed with enthusiasm over the Ivy Park. I mean, I like the black and brown combo and,
That's
I like the
drop.
teal. And I like the colors and stuff like that. But I'm just like, I can get a pair of Adidas running pants for about $50.
But they weren't designed by Beyonce.
Why am I going to pay $150? Why am I going to pay 3 times the amount for the pants that are really the same, other than they say Ivy Park somewhere, probably somewhere that's going to be hidden and covered up anyway.
Because they were designed by Beyonce.
Okay.
That's
But everybody has their vices.
So anyways, I'm not going to spend forever on that this month because we already been through that. But I did get some items This time, and I actually got priority access to
You did.
the first day.
Which, like I said, I feel like the way that they're doing that is if you buy, like you bought this time, so next time you'll probably even get the earlier notification or whatever.
Well, because Adidas has like these different levels of membership based off of the money that you spent. Yeah. So I know, obviously, I'm not a big Adidas. I don't shop activewear like that. I go to TJ Maxx or something for activewear. So when I signed up to create my Adidas account, of course, I was like at the basic level. Yeah. Well, last time I was able to get a couple things, so it bumped me up to the new level. And then this time I was able to get more, so I went into the Adidas app a couple days ago. They have bumped me up to another level. So yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad that, she does it and inspires people to, help her increase her empire.
She's not inspiring people to help her increase her empire. She's inspiring people to enjoy their life and their body and celebrate themselves and their body and support a black business.
What I will say, I agree.
I mean, it's not a completely black business, but
But I'm right, because Adidas is not like black-owned brand.
Right.
But what I will say that I do appreciate about what I saw through these, releases or whatever is that it seems to be pretty inclusive. She had sizes all the way in some things from XXS all the way up to like 4Xs and stuff.
Right.
So it's not like you have to have a body like Beyonce in order to, wear these items or whatever.
And she truly has stuff for every style too. So it's inclusive of sizes and of styles. And there's a lot of stuff that was gender neutral.
Right.
For these drops. So it wasn't like, you had to get a tight dress or whatever. Like it was tees. It was hoodies, sweatshirts, and that sort of stuff. If you are going to make the investment and you care about it, that can even be shared between partners or whatever. Like, this is our hoodie because it's not, solely female or male or whatever.
Right. And she's got fans of both, genders. So, of all genders, not just two genders, but of all genders.
Right.
So.
Yep.
And, speaking of shopping, what happens November, Black Friday.
Yeah.
It was totally different this year.
It was weird.
Like, it's crazy because, you and I, since you've been like, I don't know, maybe
little
elementary school, middle school age, we would get up, crack a dawn with skull caps.
Well, I remember we would get together with the family, like my Auntie Marianne, and we would get all the Black Friday ads.
On Thanksgiving Day, right?
And y'all would be laying them out. Yeah, we would eat or whatever, get to the afternoon, the evening time, lay all the ads out and figure out, okay, where are we going to go, who has what and when. Yeah. And then we would get dressed, like you said, in beanies and sweats and whatever, and we would go out and we would shop for a couple hours and then we'd go to Waffle House or something at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, so it was really, really different. Now, I will say over the last several years, we've kind of not done that as much. Of course, you don't live at home, you're normally home for the holidays, but I think, we kind of have everything that we need, like big items.
I think the issue is because a lot of times, for me, I grew up doing that. So for me, it's not even necessarily about buying stuff. It's just kind of like the
ambiance and being in that element. Yeah.
It's just a thing. Like, it's just sort of a tradition, I guess, Russ.
That's what I was telling someone.
They've killed it lately because you start Black Friday on Wednesday. Or Thursday.
They kept making it earlier and earlier and earlier.
I don't want to leave my plate of food to go shop.
And this year, I will say, even though it was different, I kind of do like the fact that they did multiple Black Fridays. They did it over the whole month of November, where they had different items, in some cases same items, but, they had different items each Friday or Wednesday. I think Walmart dropped their ads like Wednesday at midnight or something. But I kind of did like that, and being online, I don't know, I just kind of feel like more people have the opportunity to access this stuff. Yeah. Because, in the store where they've only got like 3 of the TVs, if you're not one of the first 3 people, you don't even have an opportunity to get the TVs. But this way, it's online, so everybody has the same advantage as far as getting in. You got to log in and you just got to, you got to be there. Yeah. Now, I know there's strategies that people probably have for this online shopping too, because like some of the people, this one girl in particular that I follow on TikTok, she like gets everything, like every ad, she's like, oh, they had a TV for $88 or they had a this for, and she's like, and I got this and I got that. And I'm like, now I went on and I was on 5 minutes before they said they were going to open it and release it. And by the time I pressed purchase, it said it was sold out. So how did she end up getting that?
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see how they do it next year because I feel like there were so many different things at play this year. Obviously COVID is why people decided to like we're not going to do the whole in-store Black Friday thing with 1 billion people. So we're going to extend it so that you don't feel like you have to come in on Black Friday, which was good. One of the cons of that for me was that for places outside of like Walmart, and even for Walmart, well, no, Walmart did a good job because they told you what dates they were going to be having different sales.
Right.
But for other places, I really struggled to get gifts because I had the opportunity to get them like beginning November 1st. But I'm like, well, I don't know if this is the best deal. Like, are you going to have you're calling it Black Friday month or whatever, but are you going to have a Black Friday deal like on Black Friday that's better?
Right.
So I don't want to get anything.
And, they showed Black Friday in the malls and in the stores or whatever, and it was a ghost town. Like, the people that were shopping were actually saying, we came out specifically today because we knew nobody would be here. We felt safe to be in the mall.
Yeah.
Because and they showed malls all around the nation and stores and stuff, and there was nobody in there on Black Friday proper. So it is different. And I think some of it is good, some of it is bad. Of course, for people that have lost their jobs and don't have the money to spend this year. That's unfortunate. And, but I think that what am I trying to say? The courtesy, the grace, the giving spirit that people have, I think has been increased because of that. People have wanted to help those that are without a lot, more.
Well, and I think also for people who could spend, because I've heard conflicting reports about this. On like one hand, I've heard people say, news reports, whatever, say that like people are not spending as much this year because COVID, people have lost jobs and all that sort of stuff. On the other hand, and I think it's just because there are multiple populations in our society.
Right.
But on the other hand, I've heard that a lot of people were able to save money this year because the ones that were fortunate enough to keep, their salary and income coming, they were able to save a lot of money this year. So they were spending even more for the holidays.
True.
Because in addition to that, a lot of the stores haven't been able to sell good stuff all year. So they've been deeply discounting things. And they've had a lot of stock for stuff that they normally would have like 2 of. They've had like 1,000 of.
Well, I think that's what's going to be interesting to see if this year, is it truly a Black Friday? Because, Black Friday is the day traditionally that stores finally turn a profit.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if that holds true for this year, even, though we've had to do things differently and stores have had to become creative about ways to get people to purchase their items and stuff. So it's been a whole different way of, kind of doing things. So, speaking of the holidays and shopping and all that kind of stuff, holiday travel. So people have been locked down since, like I said, since about March.
Right.
Even the airports and airlines were like totally shut down for, several months completely. But they've opened back up now. And I remember seeing for Thanksgiving how concerned people were because there were like millions of people in the airports traveling.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just going to probably exacerbate the problems that we have with the pandemic.
Right.
But at the same time, like I have several friends that have traveled through this pandemic in the later parts of the pandemic, not so much in the early on, because again, I think there was a lot of uncertainty about what would happen or what you could or couldn't do. But as time has gone on in the last couple of months, I've had several friends that I know that have traveled, but they've been traveling out of the country.
Yeah.
Because other countries like Mexico and South America have had a less hard time, I guess, with the pandemic than we have here in the U.S. And they haven't restricted travel to those countries, from the U.S. yet. So I have friends. I have a friend right now that I think is in Mexico. I have one that is in somewhere in South America. Gosh, I can't remember. Goodness gracious. Wow. But anyway, I was going to say Haiti, but it's not Haiti where she's at. But anyway, so people, the holiday travel, again, I think people, it's like they've been caged up.
Oh, yeah.
And they're ready to I
remember bringing that up to you before, too. Like, we should just go somewhere for Christmas or New Year's. Like, let's just go to, somewhere out of the country. Or even somewhere in the country because, at this point, people have their bubbles, their quarantine bubbles or whatever. And we kind of know a little bit more. So we kind of know how to carry ourselves throughout this sort of stuff, too. So I just kind of feel like you can go somewhere, disinfect it, clean it, and then stay there for a little while and just at least be able to break out of the monotony of, being home all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, for us this year, I mean, there were several trips planned that were.
Oh my
like,
gosh. I planned, I had already planned, this is a quick aside. I had planned a bomb Mother's Day trip because for me, this is the first year that I've like had a job and had money and the ability to do stuff. So I was so excited to be able to like travel, buy things,
Right.
like do all the things that I haven't been able to do yet as an adult. I planned a bomb Mother's Day, which of course is in May, and then I had to cancel everything in March. So yeah, so it kind of sucks because we could have, and we had talked about that.
We had talked
New
about
Year's last year,
right? Doing New Year's in New York City.
Yeah, like we were gonna travel like every, there's a holiday every month, even if it's just a 3-day weekend. I was like, I'm gonna go somewhere every month, even if it's just like to Charleston or whatever.
But I do think like a lot of people have done the things like we did back a couple months ago and doing a staycation.
Yeah.
And so, I live in Columbia. Zakia lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so kind of in the middle of Charlotte. And so we decided to go to Charlotte and just have a staycation. So we
Just
pretty
change the
much
scenery.
we rented a suite. It was gorgeous at this little boutique hotel. And they were on their A game as far as safety and disinfecting and, COVID protocols.
And they gave discounts because they knew people were doing like staycations and stuff.
Right. And so, we went there and we primarily stayed in the room, but it was a change of scenery. We put on their plush robes and slippers and all that good stuff. And, we found food, we were able to get food and stuff like that.
Right up the street and get some food.
Get some food and, bring snacks back, have snacks in the room or whatever. But it was just to kind of have a change of scenery for the most part. And so that was kind of neat because I don't know if we'd have done that if not for, this particular situation.
Well, and something else that I've seen people doing, and I don't know if this is a new company or if it just has gained traction this year because of, COVID and quarantine, but there's a company, I probably shouldn't be giving away free promotion. Y'all need to sponsor us. But it's a company called Getaway. I don't know if I told you about this yet.
No.
But they basically have these mini, tiny houses. Like all throughout I think mostly throughout the East Coast. But, I mean, they have them in D.C., in New York. They have them in Charlotte. They have one, like, a Charlotte-Raleigh location where they have, like, 12 or 13 different, they're just little mini houses. And the whole thing is, like, to get away from the humdrum of, like, your normal environment, of work, and all of that. And so, like, there's no Wi-Fi or anything like that. But it's, like, your own little mini house, and it's just a single, I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I keep saying mini house, tiny house, but that's what it is. And it seems kind of cool. And I've seen it gaining a lot of popularity for people who just like, let's just get away for a weekend. And they, like, you have your own fire pit and there's stuff nearby. I mean, they tell you the attractions nearby, like hiking trails and restaurants and stuff like that. But I talked to Vincent about that. Like, that would be something cool just to kind of like, just get away. Because people are so tired of being locked up.
And yeah, one of the things that I've seen is restaurants that have had to reinvent the way that they do things or whatever. Sure. And there's a restaurant here, and I know there's one in Charlotte, and they're probably all over the place. I found one, I think I sent you recently in Durham, where they're doing these little domes.
Oh, yeah.
And so you go to the restaurant, and they sanitize these little domes between patrons or whatever. But all of your food, so you don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to worry about, you wear a mask to the restaurant, and everything, and you social distance or whatever. Once you get in your little pod, you're free to take your mask off and, and to, have some sense of normalcy in the midst of this.
And those are kind of cute. Like, that
and it is. It's like we would have never, had something like that or had that kind of an experience or something different like that if not for that. And I think, for restaurants, and not just for restaurants, but for businesses in general, because even, for me, like some of my professional organizations, we have had like online conferences and things where we normally wouldn't have done that, but we've had online conferences and they have been really productive. And I think that some of that is going to stick even when we're outside of this pandemic. I think that there will be we'll see like we can do this and we can offer professional development to people that maybe can't travel for various reasons and still do a good job at providing those services and those opportunities or whatever. Even at work. Like our finance team has adopted some things that they had to because we were all working from home and working remotely, and they plan to keep those things going because it made them more efficient.
Yeah.
To do that stuff. So, as bad as the pandemic is, and as much as we hate being locked down or whatever, I think that one of the things that you have to do is you have to focus on the positives. I think you have to find the things that are good that have come out of this. And a lot of that is family relationships have been increased. People have become stronger in their faith. Companies and individuals too, they become more efficient in the way that they do business and things like that. And so I think that there have been some real positives that have come out of this. People have learned that they can live without a lot of stuff. There were things before this pandemic that you couldn't tell me I couldn't do without. And I've realized, yeah, you don't have to have that, or you don't have
Let
to
me tell you something. Go to law school and see how much you can live without.
Yeah, so I feel like the holiday thing and the pandemic stuff is going to kind of, that'll be part of our rewind for December as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
yeah.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see where this pandemic is in December after all these people have traveled for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we'll see.
And hopefully we will have a president that's been named. That race will be have been decided as well, and we can move on from that and talking about something else. So. Yeah.
Well, I'm almost out of my Prosecco and vodka, so I think
I've got a little bit more.
You're babysitting. So I think it's time to wrap up. Let us know if you have anything interesting or exciting that happened in November. We'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely. And our podcast and YouTube is being sponsored by Biashara. Biashara is can be found on Instagram, and Biashara, which means
Biashara means business in Swahili. So
Swahili.
Yeah, so it can be found on Instagram at biashara.review.
And Biashara reviews various Black and minority-owned businesses and the products that they offer. So if you're looking for unique gifts for family and friends this holiday season, be sure to check out the reviews.
And I hear they have some holiday guides coming soon.
They do.
So
They've got some holiday guides and gift-giving guides. So great, inexpensive gifts that you can find, and you can also support local and minority businesses in the process. So shout out and thanks to Biashara.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Next month.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, oh, oh.